Hey dudes, it's me, the guy who narrates these videos. Alright, so we've gotten a lot of questions about farm strategies recently, and we put out sort of a general farm strategy video earlier in the week, but now I want to kind of dial in on the farm strategy that I've really been enjoying the most over the last several days, and that would be Expedition Logbooks. Now, Expedition Logbooks got a pretty big redesign from GGG about 2/3 of the way through Dawn of the Hunt League, so a lot of people just probably completely missed it, and I really do feel like logbooks are just a completely hidden gem in the current state of the PoE economy right now. They cost anywhere from 10 to 15 exalts each for level 80 and up logbooks, and you can easily make double, triple, or even more than that from every single logbook. So if you're cranking through these in 4 to 5 minutes each, you could be looking at anywhere from like 6 to 10 divines, and that's assuming no jackpot drops at all. But you get tons of jackpot drops along the way. So I think this is a strategy that can range anywhere from 6 to a dozen divines per hour, just kind of depending on how RNG works out for you. So that's the sales pitch for logbooks. You kind of control the difficulty as well. They can be incredibly easy or the most difficult content in the game as well. It's really up to you. So let's get into it, but first be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and join our Discord as well. We hit 1,000 members recently and we're still growing, so come join the community. Alright, so let's talk a little bit about the changes that were made to Expedition recently, and I think the best place to start is with the Atlas passive tree. So they've made it so that all the little nodes that made it so that the Olroth fight would be harder if you found them, and logbook difficulty would be harder. Those are all changed. Now you just get, if you have all 4 small passive points, you get 40% increased logbooks throughout your maps, which is pretty great. And so I think because of that, because you're getting a lot more logbooks, I certainly have had a lot more logbooks this season than I did, or league, than I did in previous ones. This new bonus, Detailed Records, which now instead of increasing the amount of logbooks you get, I think by 30%, instead makes them have +1 level and then always drop with 4 implicit modifiers. Some of these logbooks are ones that I've bought from other players for, again, about 10 to 15 exalts each, but as you can see, like, this is a 4 explicit logbook. This is like pretty nice. There's a lot of good modifiers on here. There are a lot of modifiers that you're really going to want to look for. The main ones would be like increased number of explosives, radius of explosive, explosive placement range. Like anything related to explosives is good. That means more stuff coming out of the logbook. But then also you do want to look for the Lush Isle. This is an example of one. The expedition NPC that you're doing these logbooks with doesn't really matter, because all of the logbook or expedition NPC currencies themselves are basically all worthless. You probably shouldn't even pick them up. I still do, but you probably shouldn't. But Lush Isle is a little bit different from the other two. There are 3 areas: Barren Atoll, Lush Isle, and Frigid Bluffs. They all kind of have their own unique thing. Barren Atoll is that it gives you a bunch of strong boxes and a massive amount of gold. So if you're low on gold, run a couple Barren Atoll logbooks, you'll have like 500,000 gold in 20 minutes, or probably more like 10 minutes. Frigid Bluffs spawns map bosses that are not scaled up by map boss difficulty. Like, let's not throw my mace on the ground. They're not scaled up by this Atlas boss passive tree, so you can accidentally one-shot the map bosses throughout Frigid Bluffs, but they have big quantity and rarity scaling on them, so I've gotten divines out of those guys, and like level 20 skill gems, perfect jeweler's orbs, that kind of thing have come from those. But the main thing that you're really looking for is the Lush Isle just has these little side areas that have a strong box in them that has a bunch of currency in it, with a bunch of rarity and quantity, and those are great. They'll throw divine orbs at you, perfect exalted orbs, that kind of thing. So there are a lot of really good potential implicit bonuses from your logbooks. There's one right here. Additional underground area is nice, because underground areas that you can find in your logbooks will usually just have anywhere from like 2 to 8 extra chests in them, and that's obviously very good. They do also scale with all of the remnants that you've hit along the way to the logbook. Another really nice bonus, I don't know if I have any of them. I think I might have eaten all the ones that had this bonus on them. But there is a bonus that will make it so that chests in your logbooks will just drop, like have a 20% chance to drop double stuff, which essentially just means 20% more stuff out of your logbooks, which is obviously great if you're hitting a bunch of currency chests and you get 20% more currency. You know, that's going to be nice. Here we go, perfect one. excavated chests have a 17% chance to contain twice as many items. Or that top one, a 8%, same deal. So there are a lot of good modifiers, a lot of good implicits that you want to look for, but the main ones would be explosives, twice as many items, underground areas. That kind of does it. Now, in terms of the Atlas passive tree, what you have set up here doesn't actually matter for doing logbooks. You can do logbooks with no points in here, and it's totally fine. This really just pertains to finding more logbooks in the maps that you run, and that's something I've been kind of doing, ping-ponging back and forth. Doing maps for a while, farming a bunch of logbooks, running logbooks for an hour, making a bunch of currency from them, feeling nice, thinking about making a video about it, and then doing more maps to get more logbooks. So this is the setup I'm going with, this left-hand branch and then the bottom branch. This bottom branch is very dangerous. It really does scale up the difficulty of expeditions in your maps, so you could drop this and just take the legendary battles branch instead to get like kind of a bad node here, to be honest, and then like more monsters, which does mean more logbooks and also more coins. Coins are worth about an exalt each, so that's not too bad. All right, so that's, I think, enough about like what you want to look for in a logbook. Now let's just actually log into a book and talk about what you want to look for once you're inside the logbook. So I'll use this Lush Isle because Lush Isle is just better than all the alternatives. There are only two alternatives, Barren Atoll and Frigid Bluffs. Okay, so the first thing you want to do when you log into a logbook is look around for all the different map markers that have kind of the important things that you're looking to go after. We have 20 explosives, so we're going to look around. We're going to see like these little areas that are marked with kind of a glowing blue-white circle. These are underground areas, and we do want to explode these, but we kind of want to explode them later on in the blast chain if we can, because they will inherit all of the bonuses from remnants along the way. So things like this right here, right? 40% increased rarity to items found in excavated chests. That'll apply to all the chests in the underground area. So we kind of want to hit all of these different remnants that are, things like this before we get there. The other two things you want to look for are markers for expedition chests with the Chaos Orb marker on them. Those hold currency. And then the other would be this like Triskelion marker. Those hold artifacts. Also, in every single area, we want to look for the Scottish flag. This blue and white X. Do a little side by side here. Yeah, Scottish flag. Perfect, right? Blue and white. So thank you, Scotland. I like your whiskey, and I also love your map markers in all of the logbooks. So what we're trying to do is basically get as many remnants as we can that will juice up the drops that come out of these Scottish flag marked areas in the Lush Isles. In the other two places, the Frigid Bluffs, the Scottish flag is going to mark the different map bosses, so you want to juice those up with monster modifiers. And in the Barren Atoll, the Scottish flag marker indicates all the spots where you're going to find massive amounts of gold. So, who cares really about scaling that up? It's after some point, but like if you are hurting for gold, you can scale that up a little bit. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to kind of bounce around, look for these different remnant markers. There are also special remnant markers on each logbook that are marked with orange. So the Lush Isle ones just give extra XP, not really that big of a deal, but for the other two, they can be like pretty rewarding, just like lots and lots and lots of bonuses. And so once you've done that, you also want to go after all of the different artifact markers, because unlike in maps, artifact markers in logbooks will also drop currency that you need to do the expedition boss, Olroth. That is how he's done now. You get 50 fragments to do rank 1, 100 to do rank 2, 150 to do rank 3. These fragments that come from logbooks only and are used to fight Olroth are worth like, I think about 2.5 of them to an exalt. And in a decent logbook, I can clear upwards of 75, 80. I mean, I've gotten over 100 in some logbooks before even. So obviously that's like pretty huge, being able to pull the over half of a divine worth of this currency on top of everything else that's coming out of the logbook. So that does scale with the increased quantity of artifacts modifier from remnants, both from chests and from monsters. So that's something you really want to scale up as much as you can as well. So I have like 8 markers left. I've hit this door over here for this Scottish flag marked area. So I just want to hit this remaining underground area, and then the other special chest on the side, and then that'll pretty much do it here. Now, as you can see, there are some markers over here with that blue and white X, and these are just coalesce corruption on the Lush Isle, just out on the beaches. They're really not worth going after. But the little side markers are. So let's go ahead and just kind of finish this set of explosion chains up. I'm going to try to avoid any modifiers that I can't handle, things that would make the monsters unreasonably tanky or make them immune to my physical damage or anything like that. And then we will cap this off here with an explosive right there. All right, now I'm just going to run through this map, or logbook. And so what I like to do as I'm running through a logbook is just simply like follow the explosion chain, quickly kill everything along the way. Depending on what monster modifiers you've gotten, perfect for the video. Very glad that happened. So depending on what monster modifiers and remnant modifiers you've taken along the way through the logbook, you might have some very nasty monsters by the end of the explosion chain, or they might all just be kind of like a bunch of wimp cakes. Like if you really didn't take much in the way of monster modifiers, these are basically just like tier 15 monsters from a app with no mods. Like that's essentially all this is. It doesn't scale up the difficulty to have more passive points from expeditions. So technically speaking, this is a strategy you can do without doing Olroth at all. You do not have to kill him in order to get more stuff out of your logbooks. And yeah, I just loot along the way so I don't miss anything. I mean, make sure not to get killed while you're looting, but that's kind of it. All right, so this wasn't a particularly difficult logbook. Yeah, I've skipped to the end, blah, blah, blah. I'm just gonna go ahead and jump into this underground area now and see what's hidden in here and just see, like, I've had a couple of times where I went to the underground area and there were just no strong boxes in there at all, or no whatever expedition chests. Pretty rare though. Usually you get at least 2, which I have here. They're probably not gonna have much in them. Okay, so let's kind of just stop and evaluate. I found 70 of these runic splinters, so that's like about 25, maybe close to 30 exalts. Obviously I found a divine, and then I found like whatever, I think about 11 exalts worth of exotic coins or so, a couple of rank 2 currencies. So let's just stop and evaluate what that's worth real quick, and then yeah, that's kind of just an indication of how logbooks go. This number of runic splinters you get can be anywhere from, I would say for me on average, anywhere from like 35 to 110, which is like pretty good. Yeah, so, you always want to make sure you're not like hurting yourself either. So yeah, it's like 27 exalts worth of splinters. I'm sure those will sell in just a moment. Yeah, pretty decent little haul there, like 14 exalt worth of that one particular currency, the rank 3. But yeah, okay, exotic coinage may have dropped in price a little bit, so maybe this is only more like 3 exalts worth of exotic coins, but that's fine. Ultimately, I found this to be probably the best way to actually find raw divine orbs, which have kind of dropped in price a little bit, so using this as a way to just get a bunch more exalts is also a good strategy. But yeah, this has really been like a very, very good, simple strategy that doesn't break your computer doing the like enormous breaches, or abyss. It's another way to get around not having to do abyss. It's also just a really good way to farm some currency in a setup that's kind of easier than dealing with maps and towers and tablets and all of that. Although I don't really mind all of that, I think a lot of people are not huge fans, and this is definitely just a great alternative strategy that can really farm a lot of currency. Now, something that I didn't really get into in that one because we were doing a Lush Isle is some of the frigid bluffs, some of the barren atolls, but especially the frigid bluffs because there are a lot of bosses there, can just throw massive amounts of tier 4 and tier 5 rolled rare items at you, and some of those can be worth a lot. I've made like 4 or 5 divines off of some of the drops that I've gotten out of logbooks as well. So if you're willing to like spend the time evaluating pieces, you might be able to make even more out of those than you are just getting raw currency out of Lush Isles. So there's a lot of depth to Expedition. I really do think it might be, it's kind of crazy to say, I think it might be the most powerful mechanic in the game, but it is very, very underrated right now. I think a lot of people think it's bad. Far from it. It is insanely good and potentially very easy or very hard. It's really up to you. All right, that's it. That's Expedition Logbooks. They're really good. I cannot recommend them highly enough. even if the price doubled overnight, they would still be very profitable to run. Be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video and join the Skipping Sleep Studio Discord and become part of our community. And finally, thank you to all of our channel members. If you want to support us so we can keep making more PoE content, become a channel member as well. Thanks for watching. Bye.